Jerry stands in his kitchen, staring at a half-empty jar of pickles. He hasn't opened it yet. He just stares. Because the lid is stuck, and he thinks, why do we do this? Why do we accept a food container that requires a wrestling match? You don't see this with bread. You don't buy a loaf of bread and have to go find a special rubber gripper thing and grunt for 30 seconds just to get inside. Jerry picks up the jar and twists. Nothing. He twists again, harder. His face turns red. He stops, looks at the jar, and whispers, "You win this round." He puts it back. He'll try again tomorrow. That's how pickles control us. They're not food anymore. They're a challenge, a test of character. And every time you fail, you feel smaller. Meanwhile, the pickles just sit there, floating in their brine, smug, an untouchable dot. Now he walks into the living room. Kramer bursts through. The door without knocking, as always. Jerry doesn't flinch anymore. He's built up a tolerance. Kramer is holding a long stick with a shoe taped to the end. Jerry looks at him, no reaction. Kramer says, "It's a back scratcher, Jerry, but not for backs, for ceilings." Jerry blinks. Why would anyone scratch a ceiling? Kramer leans in. Serious, you ever lie in bed and just stare at the ceiling and think that ceiling is itchy? No? Just me? Jerry nods slowly. Just you, Kramer. Definitely just you. Kramer starts scratching the ceiling with the shoe stick. Little bits of white dust fall onto Jerry's couch. Jerry watches the dust settle. He doesn't yell. He's past yelling. He's entered a new phase of friendship, the silent acceptance of small domestic crimes committed by the man who lives across the hall. Later, Jerry meets Elaine at a coffee shop. She's upset because her new boss uses a lot of corporate jargon. She says, "He told me to circle back on the deliverables and touch base offline." Jerry stares at her. Touch base offline? Where is the base? Are you playing a game of office? Baseball? And why would you touch it offline? That sounds like a threat. Elaine sighs. I just want someone to say, Elaine, write the report. Jerry says, but that's too clear. That's dangerous. Clarity in the workplace leads to productivity. And productivity leads to less meetings. And less meetings means people might actually go home and see their families. We can't have that. The waiter comes. Jerry orders coffee. The waiter asks, regular or decaf? Jerry pauses. Is decaf even coffee? It's coffee's shy cousin who shows up to the party, but doesn't. Dance, what's the point? You're drinking the memory of coffee. It's like a ghost in a cup, Elaine says. Just get regular. Jerry points at her. See? She knows. She understands caffeine is not a luxury. It's a survival mechanism for people who have to listen to other people talk about circling back. Back in his apartment, George is sitting on Jerry's couch, staring at his own shoes. Jerry walks in. George doesn't look up. He says, I think I'm a bad person. Jerry hangs his jacket. This is new for you? George says, no, but before I didn't care. Now I care that I don't care. That's worse. That's a whole new level of self-awareness that serves no practical purpose. Jerry sits down. So you've achieved emotional enlightenment with zero improvement to your life. George nods. Exactly. It's like climbing a mountain just to find a parking ticket on the top. Jerry thinks, why do we do that? Why do we improve ourselves in directions that make us more miserable? You never see a dog do that. A dog doesn't wake up and say, you know what, I chased the mailman too much. I need to reflect. No, the dog chases the mailman and feels great about it. That's purity. George looks at Jerry. So you're saying I should be more like a dog? Jerry shrugs. I'm saying if you're going to be a mess, be a happy mess. Don't be a philosopher mess. That's just a mess with footnotes. Later, Jerry is in a grocery store line. The person in front of him has 17 coupons. 17. Jerry counts them. He wants to say something, but he doesn't. He just stands there, aging in real time. The cashier scans each coupon slowly, like it's the first coupon ever invented. Jerry whispers to himself, we invented barcodes so this would be fast. And now we've added a system that cancels the speed. It's like inventing a car and then attaching a horse to the front of it because you missed the old way. The coupon person digs through their bag for another coupon. Jerry closes his eyes. He imagines a world where coupons make a sound. Loud, embarrassing buzzer, so everyone in the store looks at you and knows. You are holding up 7 people for 15 cents off canned beans. He opens his eyes. The coupon person has found a coupon for something they aren't even buying. The cashier calls the manager. Jerry considers leaving his cart and walking into the ocean. Elaine calls him on his cell. He answers. She says, "I'm at a party and someone just introduced themselves as a creative director of Vibes." Jerry stops walking. A creative director of Vibes? What does that mean? Do they make sure the vibes are good? Are they the vibe plumber? Elaine laughs. I asked what they do, and they said, I curate emotional journeys. Jerry says, curate emotional journeys? That's what my grandmother did when she forced me to eat soup I didn't like. That was an emotional journey. From soup to sadness, no job title required. Elaine says, I told them I'm an existential interrupter. They didn't laugh. They asked for my card. Jerry shakes his head. See? That's the problem. You make up a fake job, they believe you. You tell the truth, they ask for proof. We live in a world where vibe curator gets a business card and cab driver gets a pension. Wait, cab drivers don't get pensions either. Nobody gets anything. We're all just pretending. The episode continues in this rhythm, each paragraph flowing into the next. Scene after scene, no headings, just a continuous wave of observational comedy, awkward pauses, and philosophical. Absurdity. Jerry gets home from the grocery store, still haunted by the coupon incident. He puts away the groceries, but he can't shake the feeling that something fundamental has broken in society. He sits down, stares at the wall, and says out loud to no one, we spend our whole lives waiting in lines. Lines for coffee. Lines for bathrooms. Lines for the privilege of giving other people our money. And what do we get in return? Anxiety and a receipt we'll lose by the time we reach the parking lot. He pulls a banana out of the bag. It has one small brown spot. He holds it up like a piece of evidence. And what is this? This banana was perfect yesterday. Yesterday, it was a yellow dream. Today, it's one step away from being bread. And tomorrow, it's garbage. So I have a 12-hour window to eat. This banana, or I failed as an adult. That's the pressure they don't tell you about. Not career, not love, banana timing. He puts the banana on the counter and just looks at it. You win again, fruit. Kramer slides into the apartment, this time holding a large cardboard tube. Jerry doesn't ask. He's learned. Kramer says, it's a prototype, Jerry, a portable. Echo chamber. Jerry blinks. A portable echo chamber. For what purpose? Kramer leans the tube against the wall. You ever say something really smart, but no one's around to hear it? With this, you say it into the tube, and the tube echoes it back to you, so you get the satisfaction of someone appreciating your genius. Jerry stares. So it's a tube that lets you agree with yourself. Kramer points at him. Exactly. Revolutionary. Why wait for validation from others when you can generate your own? I call it the Me Maker 2000. Jerry says, isn't that just talking to yourself in a closet? Kramer waves his hand. Details. The closet doesn't have that perfect hollow reverb. That's the secret sauce. That's what makes it feel like two people. Jerry picks up the tube, looks inside, and says quietly, you're not real. Then he puts it down. It works. Kramer grins. Told you. George enters, looking even more defeated than usual. He collapses onto the couch. I went on a date last night. Jerry perks up. How'd it go? George stares at the ceiling. She asked me what my passion was. Jerry winces. Oh no. George continues. I said, finding a parking spot that doesn't feel like a personal attack. She laughed. But then she kept staring at me, waiting. So I added, also, I'm passionate about not having to explain why I don't have a passion. She finished her drink and left within 12 minutes. Jerry nods slowly. 12 minutes. That's actually a new record. Last time you made it to 15. George sits up. That's the problem? I'm getting worse. My dating skills are depreciating like a used car. Pretty soon I'll walk into a restaurant and she leaves before I even sit down. I'll just be a guy standing near a table, alone, holding a menu, and people will think I'm a new kind of street performer. Jerry says, "The Lonely Mime, I've seen that act. It's 90 minutes of sighing." George puts his head in his hands. "I just want someone to look at me and say, 'You're a mess, but you're my mess.'" Jerry thinks, "That's a very low bar, George. That's a bar on the floor." George says, "Exactly, and I still can't clear it." Elaine bursts in furious. "My boss just sent me a 3-paragraph email about the importance of using the right font in the weekly report. 3 paragraphs on fonts." Jerry says, "Was it Comic Sans?" Elaine glares. "Don't even joke about that. No, he wants Times New Roman size 11, but he also wants the headings in bold. And the subheadings in italic, but not both because that would be visually aggressive." Visually aggressive. What does that even mean? Is the font going to punch me? Jerry leans back. Fonts have emotions now.